Hi everyone. I hope you're all healthy and doing well during these strange times. I want to begin by letting you all know that I don't have the time to answer every single comment that is on YouTube, but I do read them. And that being said, I read one after last week's episode, the Miriam Haskell episode, someone who works in the healthcare industry, and she made an incredibly strong point, so I want to apologize. Last week I wore my face mask, off my nose and off my mouth, and she wrote a very strong comment about how A, that's the wrong message, B, she actually gave me a great lesson. And so for those of you that saw last week's episode on Miriam Haskell, I apologize. So there are correct ways to wear face masks that protect you and protect the people around you. And that information is out there. I want to start this week's episode by saying that because our store has been closed for 2 months now, I have not been out shopping, but we thought it would be fun to go through the racks and show you a few of my top picks, and tell you why. So if you're out there looking for things and wanting to kind of get an idea of what to look for, what not to acquire, this is a good way to start. So on this side, we have this incredible, fabulous, late 70s, early 80s Holly's harp. It's a very unusual piece because Holly's harp is known for her matte jersey, and draping, and she was beloved in the LA area. This we purchased from one of Holly's harp's models. She had several pieces that had been sitting in her closet for 30 or 40 years. It's this wonderful lightweight lurex fabric with a marabou, and definitely a show-stopping piece. And then on this dress form, we have a really unusual, to me, Missoni. It has almost an African beadwork neckline, and then this beautiful kind of dandelion print. It's a gorgeous silhouette and a wonderful red carpet piece. The actual body is a silk chiffon, and it buttons on the side. I like to buy things that are atypical of a designer, and this definitely falls into, because people think of Missoni as a knitwear designer. And then on this mannequin, there's a gorgeous photoshopped image of this on our website. It is Valentino. This arrow, which could be the tip of snake tail or a devil's pitchfork. The silhouette of this piece, because of the draping, has a really sexy leg exposure. It's a terrific red carpet dress, and it's made with what I believe is jersey. So we're going to start with the rack, and on the rack are a few pieces of things that I think are designer names that you should look for, because they're not as high profile as a lot of the other ones that people are extremely familiar with. The first one is Michaele Vollbracht. He was known as a graphic designer. He did these incredibly wonderful prints on really dramatic things. And I'm a huge fan of Michaele Vollbracht's graphics design. This one I bought for me, but unfortunately it's a little too small. Most of his pieces are signed, and this is cotton from the 1980s. You'll see. Then in the vintage world, there's the rockabillys, and we always look for good Western wear. This is on a gabardine. It's tailored by California Ranchwear in Los Angeles, and snap cuff, snap front. And what I love about this is, if you look at the detail, the piping is kind of a strange almost like a check. Smile pockets, and then the chain stitch, tambour stitch embroidery. Now this piece is super rare because of the fabric that it's made with. It's a 1920s lounging pajama. So it's got the tank, it's a jersey, and what I love about these, it's all about comfort. Drop crotch, wide legs. I treasure things that are hard to find, and pieces from the, I mean, think about it. This is about 100 years old. And then continuing with the lounging, so underwear as outerwear is very common. This is a beautiful smocked two-piece peignoir set, something I'm sure you could see Dita Von Teese wearing. The robe has self-covered buttons. Okay, so here we go. So it's kind of Greek goddessy, and the smocking allows for a stretch, so it's very forgiving in terms of sizing. The smocking is intact, the fabric is in great condition, there's no stains, there's a light amount of embroidery around the neckline on the actual nightgown, and the robe has the same kind of light amount of embroidery too. And these billowy sleeves with smocking at the wrist, which really makes it fit well. Unusual to find the two pieces after all these years, considering this is about 75 years old. And then one piece that's near and dear to my heart. I got into this business because in the 60s, I related to hippies in spirit, in politics, in all kinds of things. And this is a wonderfully distressed overall, which is from the 70s probably, when we had our 200-year anniversary in 1976. You'll see a lot of flag things. And so I would guess that this is from that period. And then somebody appliqued this, must have been a sheet of some sort, for pockets, front and back. Consider this a collectible piece. I could see someone doing a museum exhibition on the hippies through like 1966 through 1976. This would be a great piece to include. And then this is a two-piece Dolce & Gabbana, or D&G, it's not their better label. And it's a mesh with faux mirrors that are embroidered, multicolor, fringe on the bottom, and a slip. This came from a collection of clothing I bought in Costa Mesa that was never worn, so it's in pristine condition. It has a kind of a 1920s feel to it, but it's a great summer dress. And speaking of summer dresses, one of my favorite things to do every year, which I haven't done this year for obvious reasons, is to go to Mexico, because it's so close. It's the culture is wonderful, and this sundress, halter dress, reminds me of Mexico. It's comfortable, it's easy breezy, and the color is good. And then going back to the hippie movement, when I was a teenager, there was a store on Main Street in Huntington on Long Island that carried Serendipity. And one of the early designers for Serendipity was Betsy Johnson. This is not a Betsy Johnson Serendipity, but the indigo overdye on this and then the applique floral is great. And then there's a kind of a rickrack. Serendipity, this was deaccessioned from a museum, and it's dated 1973. And it's signed by the artist Sylvie. I wonder if Sylvie's still around. And also, one of my favorite Serendipity pieces is this kind of splotchy. I think the way they get this is you have the denim and then you basically splat bleach on it. And so you get these marvelous kind of amoebic patterns. But the back is the big surprise. It's an applique with 2 pockets, actually. So this is a very strong, I would guess, 1976 as well. And the buttons say equipment militaire, but it has nothing to do with Serendipity. When I opened The Way We Wore in San Francisco in 1981, I swore that when polyester became the next thing, that I would retire. And I'm so glad that I didn't live up to that threat, because there's some pretty fabulous things that are made from polyester. I love this because of the print. The silhouette is very 70s. The silhouette is actually, the dress silhouette is 70s, but the print silhouette is also very 70s. And it's 100% polyester. Designer from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that is really very popular now is Jessica McClintock. She was huge in San Francisco when I was living there, and her kind of romantic silhouette. This one's unlabeled, so I'm not 100% sure that this is a Gunny Sacks dress, but it certainly looks like it. It's a nice combination of cotton velveteen, cotton, and lace. A granny dress like I would have worn in high school. And the last piece I have to show you is a label that a lot of people are not familiar with, but is worth looking at because of the way it's constructed. It is Stavropoulos. Stavropoulos was in Greece and was in New York. This was also deaccessioned from a museum, and it's dated 1975. What I love about Stavropoulos is typically his pieces have like at least 4 or 5 layers of chiffon. And you can see the gussets in here are beautifully inserted. So the more you look at Stavropoulos pieces, the more you appreciate him as a designer, because his finishing is couture, his choice of fabrics it's luxe, and it moves with such grace. I've had probably maybe 15 or 20 Stavropoulos since I moved to LA, and I consider them very special pieces. So you want to look out for Stavropoulos because his pieces are great. And let me know if you find any. So I don't like to get political on this YouTube channel, so I won't, but I will say that compassion is not a political thing. And one of the things that I have committed to is we don't normally talk about who our clients are, but Manuel-Miranda's parents are big customers here, and they reached out and asked if we would consider participating in a charity event that's raising funds for immigrants. There's a fabulous website called Charity Buzz. We have donated $500 gift certificate, and Luz Miranda, we're going to do a Zoom walk through the store. So whoever the highest bidder is gets the $500 to do whatever they want. We're thinking accessories because of sizing and trying things on. And so we're going to have a link to that if you'd like to bid on this charity. All the money goes to the charity. And, you know, we need to help each other right now. I want to encourage you, if you enjoyed this episode, to please subscribe to our episode, give us a thumbs up. Although I may not reply to your comments, I certainly will consider your suggestions. I acknowledged the guys in the last episode, and I want to let you know I'm really sorry, but my business is all basically based for women. So I don't think I'll be doing any episodes that focus on men's clothing, and I apologize, but I'm running out of room as it is with, with what I'm doing here with women's clothes. We're trying to put out an episode every week or so. Under the circumstances, it's not the easiest thing to do, but we're trying. So we look forward to seeing you next time. Be safe, be well, and hope you're all healthy. Thank you. Bye.